Hello and welcome to another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop. And here we are at another Workshop Ketchup, or as Jonathan and I have come to know them, Workshop Catch-up for those of you who are into factual English. And we're looking at various jobs as ever that are going on here. Some are old friends and some are newcomers. And talking of newcomers, we have this car here. This is a Lamborghini Countach from 1981. In spite of the fact it's on a Y reg, which the more observant and older people in the UK will know is from 1982-83, it is actually an 81 car. And this car is an old friend of mine. This was the first ever Countach I worked on in 1988, 89, that sort of time. It's a beautiful example actually. It's the paintwork has suffered a bit over the years, but it's had one owner from 1989 when my customer sold it right up until 2022, and he's done a few bits and pieces to it. So the car's in for a major recommissioning and major refresh, and we've done things like overhaul the brakes, bring the car to life. I've actually taken it out for a drive and it drives surprisingly well. The engine is very strong. I mean, these are still fast cars even today. So we're turning this car into something special. It is going away for a repaint because it's the original paintwork, but again, it's that situation. Where does patina and original end and beauty begin? That's a bit of a moving feast. Some people would prefer it a bit clunky around the edges, but we decided with the customer that the best way to go with this car is repaint it in its beautiful original Acapulco blue. And the car's done next to no kilometres. When I worked on it in the late 80s, it had done, I think, 4,000 kilometres, and it hasn't done much more than that now. Original. So that's a very exciting car to have in. Trip down memory lane for me because it was my first ever customer's Countach. So let's see what else we've got. Well, this is a Bentley Continental R from 1996-ish, and this was a very expensive car when it was new, up to around about £200,000 in the 1990s, depending on how many options you specified. But this engine it's the 6 3/4 litre big V8, as it was called at Crewe, and this car is in for a service. It's significant that it's a 96 car because it had the later Zytec engine management system, which was derived from a Formula One engine management unit, actually. And in 1991-92, these cars are a bit like vintage wines. You have good years and bad years, or good years and not so good years, should I be more polite about it. And the 91-92 cars had the old Ketchup engine management system on them. And as emissions standards improved and one thing and another, they actually became less and less powerful because they were piling on the things to make it get through emissions regs and detuning the engine to cope. So in 1990, late 93, they brought out this Zytec engine management system. The whole gubbins is covered by a plastic cover here. You've got a charge cooler underneath, a water to air intercooler that works with the turbocharger to help the engine develop more power, essentially. So this is a good car. They are very complicated and they're very labour intensive to maintain, but we do, this one has come in, we do the odd servicing on them, etc. And we have a customer with a beautiful wide body Continental Mulliner R, which should actually be a nice car to do a video on, so I'll do that soon. Okay, let's see what else we have. Well, I'm surrounded by 4 very different Ferraris here. We've got a 330 GT 2+2 from 1964, quite a rare car in right-hand drive form. John Lennon famously had a blue one. Just imagine. And we have a Ferrari 360 Spider here, which has been a long-term project car. I'll probably end up doing a video on that. Hadn't intended to, but it's created quite a lot of interest, so that's the way it's going to go. We have a Ferrari F40 here, and we're actually going to do a separate video on the start of the restoration on this. It's coming along very well, so we'll park that one for the moment, and we also have this lovely Ferrari here, which is a 250 GT Pininfarina Coupe. It's a right-hand drive car from 1958, and there's quite a story to this car. We're rebuilding the engine. I'm going to do a separate video on this as well. This is just a sort of quick whistle-stop tour of what's going on. This is a very historic car, actually, and it is owned by Chris Haynes from the Haynes Workshop Manual Motor Museum empire, if I can call it that. And Chris has brought the car into us for the engine to be rebuilt, which is a great honour. He's a very, very nice gentleman, and he knows his cars, and he's got a huge collection of cars, obviously, in the museum, etc. So a real honour to have this car here, and I'll be doing a full video on this because prior to Chris owning it, it also had a great history. Well, this is one of our old friends. This has been here too long with COVID and everything else slowing everything down, supply chains, subcontracting work, everything. But we are very, very close to having this car finished now. This is the Miura that has come from the Black Forest, and it was a very original car, which we thought we were going to get away without respraying. But again, it falls into the same category as the Countach. Every panel had flaws on it in the paintwork and even possibly in the aluminium underneath. So this has been repainted beautifully, and we're just finishing fitting the car up now. Craig has refitted the entire factory original interior from 1970, and it looks fantastic. You would not know. Behind on the trolley there is the engine, which is just about nearing completion. We're going to reinstall it back in the car, and I will be making a video about the final installation, startup, etc. about this car. It's been a wonderful project, and it's almost finished. Well, here we are with another nerdy project, and I keep apologizing for being nerdy, and people say, no, bring it on, more nerdiness. So here we are with nerdiness. Some of you who've been watching the channel may know that we've just finished restoring the 6th ever production Lamborghini, which has now gone back to its owner. Swiftly on the heels of that, when we got the car, it had a 4-litre engine installed in it, which was done later by the factory. Lamborghini factory did this a lot, but the 350 GT had the original 3.5 litre engine. It's in the name. They made 123 of them only, the 350 GTs. The engine was a bit frail, and they beefed it up, strengthened it, made the thing a bit more hardy, learned a few lessons, and it became the 400, the 4 litre. But the 3.5 litre engines are very, very difficult to get hold of, almost impossible. This is the original matching numbers cylinder block from that 350 GT. It's stamped with the same number as the chassis number of the car, as the very early Lamborghinis were. With the help of Olivier Nemesh, the Lamborghini historian, we've actually managed to obtain an original 350 GT engine, even though they made, as I say, only 123 cars. And we've cannibalized that, and through some incredibly clever engineering, line boring, reheat treating, etc. We've managed to rejuvenate the original block, easy for me to say, and actually build the 350 GT engine around that block. So this is at the customer's insistence. This is going to be a working engine, and it's going to go. We're just fabricating a whole display stand and infrastructure, cooling system, electrics, fuel, etc. To actually make this work as a standalone working display engine. And one of the interesting parts about this is that the carburetors are what are called vertical carburetors. They're downdraft carburetors, even though they're at a slight angle. And no production Lamborghini V12 of this era, the Countach was the first one to have downdraft carburetors after that, the QV. But prior to that, they all had side draft carburetors to keep the bonnet line low, the hood line. But what we've managed to do is locate a set of these carburetors, because the very first prototype of this engine, and there are photographs to show this, with Lamborghini showing the journalists in 1963, even before the factory was built, he was bench testing the 350 GT and proudly showing it to the assembled journalists from around the world. And it had these 6 vertical twin choke carburetors. They are incredibly difficult to get hold of. You just can't find them. And they're also extremely valuable. I've been talking to various people in the Concours world about engines such as this, and a set of these carburetors, believe it or not, can be worth as much as $100,000 just for these 6 carburetors. So we've managed to pull a few things out of the hat here. You know, this is going to be finished very soon and go back to join the car again and go alongside it. Very much like the original motor show of 1963 when the 350 GT or GTV was displayed. So nice little project this. We haven't started it yet, but it's all there. It's all lubed up inside. It's ready to go. And yeah, a very, very satisfying job. Well, we always have Lamborghini Espadas in the workshop. First time I worked on an Espada was 1986, so we always have a variety, but this is quite an interesting car. You can see it's a right-hand drive car, but this is a Series 1 Espada with the Marcello Gandini designed hexagonal themed dashboard, which was, some people loved it and some people hated it. It was a bit of a Marmite design, really. But it's a Series 1 Espada. It's the original vision of the Espada with the knockoff wheels, etc., Miura wheels. They only made, I think, between 4 and 7 right-hand drive Series 1 Espadas. It's a shockingly rare car, and we happen to have 2 of those right-hand drive cars here. But this, Craig, no workshop catch-up would be complete without Craig's wonderful trim handiwork. And he is making, this dashboard and centre console are actually the original leather from 1968, which we're treating and gradually moisturising and feeding and bringing back to life. But the carpets were pretty shot. So we've chosen a material that is very close to the original crema carpet, and it's bound with the same colour as the dashboard as it would be at the time. And we'll have another look at a bit of Craig's handiwork as well now. Well, here's another bit of Craig's handiwork. This is a car that I'm going to feature in a future video. It's an Aston Martin DBS V8. Quite a rare car actually now, and it's got a manual gearbox, which makes it even more rare. Quite a few of them had autos. But the carpets, again, this is the original leather, and it's still in very good condition. It's quite presentable. We can clean this up and make it lovely. But Craig has been making Wilton leather-bound carpets for it, and he's also redone the dash top, and it's really lifted this car. It's made a tremendous amount of difference to it. And the owner is happy because it's actually added value, at least what he's spent on it, to the value of the car, which is a great result. And it looks like an Aston Martin interior now, whereas before it looked a bit ratty. It had been patched up with black carpet here and there. So Craig's done a wonderful job on this, and win-win. The owner's happy, we're happy, everybody's happy. Well, this is the elephant in the room, or more precisely, the piece of agricultural machinery. This is a Lamborghini tractor from 1961. Tractors really passed me by in the whole Lamborghini tractor story, but having worked on them for decades and been involved with a lot of them, I decided to look into the tractor side of it, and I've ended up with this machine. We've almost finished restoring it. It came in complete but scruffy. These are the original colours, believe it or not, this rather interesting French blue and these orange. These are cast iron, about ½ inch thick, to help the back wheels get traction. They weigh a ton almost. And this is a 4-cylinder air-cooled diesel. There is the cooling fan, the intake. An interesting piece of machinery. I'll almost inevitably end up doing a video on this as well at some point. A high-speed run, I think, might be in order, maybe in a warehouse. And the injection pump is away being overhauled on it at the moment, which is proving a bit of a challenge, trying to get the parts for it. We're well on the way. So something a little bit different. Well, that concludes another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we will be back with something else soon.